So I just want to welcome you here tonight, and it's going to be a great time. This is an interactive workshop, so I hope that you will feel free to talk and to make comments and ask questions, because that's how we all learn, is by doing that. And as the title says, we want to bring family harmony. And we're going to do that. We're going to talk about that tonight by doing family councils, or as it's more commonly known probably right now as family meetings. But I'd like to maybe encourage the use of the word council, because it connotates a family working together. And that's what we're talking about tonight, is about creating harmony in our homes. And especially if we have, as we're doing our business, and we are, and we have kids of different ages, and we have maybe spouses' schedules and our schedules, and the many things, the many hats that we wear, just keeping everything organized and running smoothly. So, Amanda, how many kids do you have?
I have 3 at home.
You have 3 at home. Okay. And how old are they?
11, 9, and 4.
Okay. That sounds great. That you have a wide range of ages, like I have. My kids are 17 years from the oldest to the youngest. And so that makes it a little more challenging to actually coordinate schedules and doing things in the house. So,
well, I'd also just like to add, I have 3 older stepkids too.
Okay.
And
how
so, let's see, 31, 26, and 19.
Wow.
So we feel particularly dysfunctional just because, but
Yeah.
when my kids were babies, we were up all the time going to sporting events and wrestling events and traveling to tournaments. And so being able to create any kind of consistency with like chore charts or anything beyond it's your turn to clean out the dishwasher has been really challenging. And I'm noticing that even though it's just the 3 of them home now, it's much simpler, but it's still been really challenging to try to implement anything.
Well, totally understand that. And that brings us to, the challenges of integrating a family's many different activities and the responsibilities of the family. That can be one of the most challenging parts, because, like you said, when you have older kids, you've got the sporting events, and you've got all their activities, and then you've got the baby to take care of. And it's really hard unless you actually put it into writing to get it all working together, so some things aren't forgotten and other things overlooked, and you still get the house taken care of too. And with my 6 kids, I finally figured out how to do that, and that is with family councils and family meetings. And it was about because I had high schoolers and a baby, and you had probably college age students and a baby with your 4-year-old. Well, actually, with all your older kids or your younger kids, Amanda, didn't you?
Yeah, our youngest is still in college now. The older 3 were all spread out too, so it was a mixed bag for sure.
Yeah.
So we had one in high school, one in college, one out on her own. Yep. So it's been a wide range of juggling things.
Yeah, and nowadays parents want their kids to be involved in a lot of different things. And that makes it even more difficult because the more activities you put into place, the more moving parts there are. But when we can organize this and create a harmony in the family, what it will do then is everybody can just breathe. They know what to expect. They know how to find the information, because that's part of the challenge in putting together our schedules, is that unless we have a central place that we're keeping things and we have a master schedule, we're not being able to know where to go to get the information. And so as we talk about this, just keep that in mind as to where you might have a central repository in your home. And we'll talk about some of the tools that you can use later. The benefits are, like I said, reduced stress, increased happiness, and improved communication and stronger benefit or stronger family relationships. And that will, I'm going to explain that a little bit more too as we go along. But talking together in our family meetings is really, really important, because a lot of people don't really know what a family meeting or a family council is about. So this is the definition, the best definition I found. And that's the family council is a meeting of family members at a routine time and place, a time for family concerns to be discussed, a chance for each family member to express thoughts and feelings, and a joint effort to make family decision. A family council deals with both positive and negative issues that affect the family. And that's really important, that it includes both the positive and the negative. You don't want the whole meeting to be negative, but there are negative things that come up. What are some of the negative things that you've had come up in your life, Amanda?
Oh, probably things, just like family contention or unresolved things or patterns that aren't working.
Yeah. Something that came up in our family was I had a son that got sick and he required 24/7 care. And that definitely affected the family. And so we had to regroup and figure out how we were going to handle that situation. So one of the first things that this definition talks about is creating a routine time and place. So for my family, we did it on Sunday afternoons. And we did that for a variety of reasons. It was one of the few days that everybody was at home. And so you want to find, maybe it's a Saturday morning for your family, or a weeknight where you don't have anything else that night, and you can just take 30 minutes to an hour and have a set time on it so that everybody knows that it is a set time. And if you're talking about negative issues, you know that the timer is going to go off and you can come back to that later. But it is for somebody that is avoiding negative things, knowing that there's a timer or that it's a limited time to an hour or 30 minutes will help increase their participation in the program or in the council. We always had like an agenda. of things that we wanted to discuss, because that way we kept on track. And so we would just let everybody know, okay, these are the things we're going to talk about. So if you have questions or concerns or thoughts, bring it. We're looking forward to it. And as you can expect, and you probably have experienced, Amanda, the older the kids, the more contribution they have to the program and to the things that we were discussing. So one of the first things that we did in our family councils was that we created a family schedule. And there are some key elements to creating that family schedule. And that is, let me get to my notes because my brain's kind of all over. That we incorporate both individual and family activities into that schedule. It's important that everybody gets out what they have onto that family schedule. We did homework assignments, tests. We did, there are sporting activities, anything, church activities, scouting activities, anything that they were doing got put on the schedule. And how I kept it separate and knew what was each person was doing was I used felt pens that were of different colors. So we, in our family, had 8 different colors of felt pens on our calendar. And I actually used one of those desk calendars so that they were big and they had lines in it. I also used a whiteboard that has a calendar so that we could put all our activities in there. Have you done anything like that, Amanda?
No.
Does that sound like that might be something helpful?
Possibly. I've wondered about using a whiteboard or like the big calendar, but then my mind immediately goes to where do I put that? Also, Debbie, I see there's several people on, but I seem to be the only one engaged. Has everybody else already attended this class, or
I don't.
am I the only new one, or?
No, this is the first time I've taught it, but I'm not seeing
Oh,
anybody else.
Wait,
hi, everyone.
Julianne's here.
Hi, Julianne. Nice
Hi,
to have
yeah.
you.
I've been here just listening. So I don't know,
Great.
I had it muted, so I don't know if that was why, but
I
good information.
am glad you're here and that you've taken the time to be here. And Julianne is actually my littlest sister. And I'm excited to have her here with me today.
Thank
Who
you.
else is on here? Because since I can't see anybody else, I have to rely on you guys telling me who's here.
This is Lisa. I'm on here.
Hey, Lisa, thank you for coming back. I appreciate that.
Yep, I'm just getting kids ready for bed, so I might participate when I can.
Okay, sounds good. I'm glad you're here. So where we ended up putting our calendar is on the side of the fridge, because that's a big, wide area. Now, you may not have a fridge that you can post that on. The back of a door is great. Even if it is the pantry door. Most homes today have pantry doors. You can put it on that. And with those command strips so that it doesn't, if you don't want to put nails into the door, you can put those command strips up there. And if you get the Velcro ones, then you can say it's the either the desk calendar or the whiteboard, you can pull it off. and take it to the table. So it's a great resource to use that way. Now, it's really difficult if you have a large range of ages that you're working with to come up with strategies for balancing your schedule. But it's really important to look at balancing your schedule. And that can look like if you have one child that has more activities than other children in the family, or you have more activities that are work related versus recreational, because it's important to have some fun. And so you need to, put priority in doing some activities, especially as families, because doing family activities will help you create the harmony. Because the more you do activities together, the more you'll be able to communicate and you'll be able to create stronger bonds as a family.
I agree.
Thank you. Something that I did with my kids is, and I heard this strategy from a mom of 12. She never let her kids do an activity just by themselves. And that's going to sound a little weird, but like when her kids took piano lessons, there was never just one child doing piano lessons. There were at least 2 kids. So they would go and they would do piano lessons together. They could practice together. They could have a bond over an activity that they both like. Same thing with soccer. And I see with my oldest son, he is doing that with his kids. And it's kind of cool that as they've gotten older, that they are branching out. Like I have 2 of their 3 kids that actually love skating. And they like skating as in roller skating, and they've learned how to do dancing together. And it's a lot of fun to watch them. And like now that it's summer, they're doing swim team, and all 3 of them are doing swim team. They are also all doing, I can't remember what it is. It's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I think. But I mean, the entire family is doing this martial art together. So they get the opportunity to really bond in the time in the car, and in the time that they're there, and when they're competing. They get to cheer each other on and support each other. Now,
So
go ahead.
I was just wondering, so if that's not something that everybody wants to do, like in my family, half the family does taekwondo and the other half doesn't. But I don't know, I'm just thinking about how we handled that. Was everyone would go cheer them on, and so that's how they could support them when they had testing. But okay, so one thing that we really didn't have happen was the support of the older kids for the younger kids. Maybe you could give an example of what you guys did or how you got the older kids to be engaged with what the younger kids were doing.
How we handled that, because 17 years difference in age is huge.
Yeah.
We actually, we would go and support our older kids, but the older kids are really busy. They start having jobs. They've got their sporting events and things. But after dinner, we always made it a point that having dinner together was the one time every day that we connected.
Okay.
And so after dinner, we'd clear the table, and then we would play games. And, we'd play Uno, big fish, little fish, moose in the house. I mean, games that were less than 15 minutes.
Okay, so that's, so you could, so the older kids knew that after dinner, you would have just a quick little game time and then they could get on with their homework and stuff.
Right. And that was also how we created the bonding with the little kids, because we played those games that were games that the little kids could do. And they would have just as much fun as the older kids. I mean, we played this one game, Go Bananas. And when my 5-year-old was, that was my youngest, Tanner was 5, we played this game, and we have memories of this game still, because Bobby was there and he had his ring and he had just got married. And we played, and it's a slapping game. When certain cards come up, you got to slap them.
Okay.
We laughed and laughed, and we learned that if Bobby's going to slap it, you watch out, because that ring hurts.
Oh,
You know, that's part of the memory.
okay.
You know, other things we did were like going camping, where we were just our family. And
Mhm.
mom and dad helped with the little kids, but there were times that the big kids were the ones taking the little kids on hikes or showing them something really interesting.
Mhm.
And so that's why it's important to balance things, and to make sure that you have some family activities that are completely for the family, so that you're building bonds, you're learning to communicate with each other, and that you can be supportive of their individual activities as well.
Debbie, I have a question for you.
Sure.
And I think I had to step out for a minute, so I might have missed it, but
Yeah, no
when
problem.
you talked about implementing game time, how often did you do that? And can you go over what that looked like again? As far as when you intentionally chose to incorporate game time?
Well, for our family, it was important to my husband and I that we had dinner together as a family, because there are so many studies that show the benefits to a family for having dinner together. And after we cleared the table, I bought a bunch of like 15-minute games. I just went to Target, and on the box it said 15-minute games. And so I bought those, and that's what we would play. There were also times that we played like Uno, and we would do that probably 6 nights a week. And we just made it a part of our tradition.
I'm sorry, the audio cut out just a little bit. So you did that 5 or 6 nights a week right after
Yes.
dinner?
Yeah, but it was only a 15-20-minute commitment, and then everybody else could go.
I like that, because sometimes it feels like once you implement things, and this is part of what wrecks our balance, right? Is the stopping boundary.
Yeah.
Especially because it gets so fun and you want to just keep going, and then they want to keep going, and so how did you handle that? Just with communication, that this is how long we're going to be playing, and we'll be playing, more frequently. So it's okay if we stop this tonight at this time, or how did you do that?
Well, because they were 15-minute games, they naturally ended after doing one hand. Because like Moose in the House, that was a good 15-minute game. And everybody could play for those 15 minutes. And as soon as somebody won, then the game was over for the night. And then everybody went and did their homework, or the little kids went to bed. It naturally ended. Now, a game like Uno would be a little bit longer. And you could say, okay, we're going to set the timer. And when the timer goes off, then we're done. And whoever has gotten to the fewest cards at that point in time is the winner. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's great. And I really love that you're bringing this forward because my girls who are 11, 9, and 4, games are their love language. I've noticed they are just constantly begging me to play games together. And so, and yeah, I struggle with school time, and it feels like we can never play games. So
Yeah.
COVID in that regard was like a huge blessing because we just had time. We had time to play games and play a lot of them. And so I really like that this is a possibility that with boundaries around it, we can, and it's more incentive to make sure that we're eating as a family too consistently, that they can look forward to that game time. And then also be able to still keep it to the 15 to 20 minutes and then be able to move forward.
Yeah, and you know, if you don't want to go out and buy games, if you go to Pinterest, you can you can kind of search in there, and they have, you know, 10-15 minute games that you can do as well.
Awesome.
You know, I only have one daughter and there's 5 boys. And so it got a little lopsided on the boys' side, and I ended up getting it's called Princesses. And I don't remember the full name of it, but that was a really fun game. And even the boys, what they're doing, their princesses, they had a blast. So just pick out something that they like, and you only need like 3 or 4 that you can rotate. And you'll find that by rotating them, they may want to play them a couple days in a row, but then they'll go on to the next one. And then when they're done with that, they can come back and start over. So in the tools and resources, timers are amazing. I use timers all the time because I believe in not time management, but time budgeting. So in time budgeting, it's about saying, okay, I have this amount of time to do things, and I need to get these things accomplished. So I'm going to devote this amount of time to this particular activity, and whatever I get done in that time is going to be sufficient. And it really makes a huge difference. I don't have my sample calendar up there, but when I do the calendar, I'm doing my personal time blocking, I actually put colors in there so that I can see when I'm supposed to change. When you are doing your family council, just make it a certain color of block. And in fact, when we had our 8 colors of markers, we had another color. We had a 9th one that was for family activities, things that we were going to do together as a family. Sometimes it was concerts, sometimes it was plays. A lot of times it was camping or going out and roasting marshmallows. Whatever we decided we were going to do that week, that was going to be in the family color so that everybody could prioritize it. And we would work around everybody's schedules. What makes this work is you have to put everything on the calendar. Because if you miss something, then you have left open a place that could potentially bring in contention. Because kids and parents, you know, it's like if you have a report or an exam that you've got to study for and it's not on the calendar, then if mom or dad or somebody else in the family has something that they want to do or that they need to do that just came up, it's going to cause contention. Or worse than that is when you wake up on say a Wednesday morning, and it's like, oh mom, today's the bake sale and I need to have 3 dozen cookies. And it's, they got to leave for school in an hour. It can really cause havoc. So do you guys have any other questions on this section? Okay, so then I want to go to the next section. I can get my computer to do it. And this is gotta do's. And, chores have this negative connotation. And I was talking to a friend and she was telling me that instead of doing chores, they do gotta do's in their family. And it totally changed how getting the kids to do things around the house work. Because gotta do's are the things that make the home run. So we got to do the lawn, we've got to do laundry, we've got to do vacuuming and dishes, and all those things, when presented as those are the basics framework of making our home run, it changes it in their mind. And it's really important that we involve our kids in those activities. So many of the mom sites now have working moms, mompreneurs, and stay-at-home moms doing everything. And there's not enough of us. I mean, we don't have enough time to do all the things that we're being asked to do as it is. If we teach our children how to work and how to support the family in these got-to-dos, then we are also at the same time increasing their self-esteem, because self-esteem comes from accomplishment. And when they learn that they can do things, then it's just like when you do something good and you learn, like, wow, I didn't know I could do that. And you get acknowledgement from other people. And that's what kids need. Age-appropriate chores are important. And if you don't know what appropriate chores are for your kids, then we should talk about that. And I can give you a resource that I will send out if you're interested in that. Things like making their bed and emptying the dishwasher or emptying the silverware are great first chores for kids. It's also important that we don't go and redo it for them. Once it's done, if we can show them how to do it, and then we let them do it, and maybe we show them another day how to do it. But there's nothing more undermining to anybody than to do the work and then have somebody else come back and do it. So as moms, we got to accept some imperfections. What are some of the things that you guys come up with when it comes to chores?
One of the things that really helped me was having set chores. So like I had an expectation of what I wanted, for instance, like the bathroom to look like. So rather than having the kids just hope they did it right, or putting the pressure on me to see if they did it right or whatever, I just made up, okay, this is what a clean bathroom looks like. And then I just was really specific on what that looked like. And then they had a checklist, and then they can just go over it themselves without me. Because, my kids, well, different ages, but it worked for all of them, because I felt so much pressure when the kids said, what's my job this week or whatever. And or like, hey, you got to do some jobs before you can go play. It was so stressful for me, because I was so overloaded, my brain was overloaded. That's a strategy I came up with so that once it was all written down, I didn't have to keep revisiting that.
That's good. I did laminated cards that had everything that my kids were going to do. Like they had their morning routine and they had their evening routine. And so like for say Amanda's 4-year-old, what that would, the Amanda or the morning routine would be like, get up, brush your teeth, make your bed, get dressed, make sure your backpack's ready if you're going to go to preschool, or if you're going to have some other activity, they might have a little thing to do. And it would probably include emptying the bottom rack of the dishwasher. Now, I had the luxury of being able to put my dishes in drawers right next to the dishwasher, so it was easy for them. There are other, chores, like they could empty the waste baskets. They would do one little thing every day. That was one of their gotta do's. And having a list, and especially with younger kids who can't read, having pictures on them is really helpful. And I'm not a great artist, I will tell you that, but I drew out like a bed and a toothbrush. And if you wanted, there's like tons of clip art you can get on the computer now. But doing a laminated card really helped. And I did laminated cards. In fact, I found one the other day, and it was for the laundry room. And because when I had older kids, they would also, once they got to be like 18, if they were going to school and stuff, they still had to take care of their own laundry. And so when they use the laundry room, there's a checklist there that says, okay, you got to, wipe off the top of the washer when you're done with it. And you need to make sure that the dryer vent is empty. And you left the door open a little bit so that it can dry out in there. And basically, there are 4 or 5 things that were there. Something that I know Julie did to help her kids with laundry and in sorting, and you could do this clear from, little ages, is she put together color swatches and attached them to the sorting area that she had in her laundry room, so that the kids could learn what clothes went in what bin. And they had a lot of fun, I imagine, in doing that, because you can make that into a game. And another thing, go ahead.
Oh, Debbie, I'm sorry, I was muted. So then I lost my phone. I was going to say that those color swatches were just paint chip samples from the paint store, like from Home Depot.
Oh, yeah.
And so I did, like, because we had a lot of laundry, so I could divide it into like jeans and black and navy, really dark colors, and then a medium dark, then like a light and white. But if however you want to do that in your family, just having that there, all my kids learned how to sort, and I never ever had to tell them which pile to put it in once the little ones got used to what I was looking for. But yeah, they even, my big kids remember that, and they comment about that, and they think, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Well, I thought it was a very cool idea. Now where I don't have a big family, I use those color grabbers because I don't have enough to sort. And
yes,
so that's a great tool. if you're doing smaller batches of laundry, to use the color grabbers.
Those are
And-
the best.
Yes. Now, Lisa, I don't know if you can come on. How many kids do you have now? 4?
So I have 3. I have
Yeah, 3.
a 9-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 1-year-old.
Okay. So your kids are similar in age to Amanda's, except for Amanda has a 4-year-old and you have a baby, a
Yeah.
toddler. So you're probably both in the throes of laundry.
Yeah.
Something that helps with that is actually not getting more clothes, but kind of paring it down. When we went to uniforms, it was like, oh my gosh, what an amazing difference in my laundry. Because they told us that, you know, you need 3 pants, you need 5 shirts, and then socks. And I was like, oh my heavens, that's like half the dresser just went away. And the kids were thrilled to death to have choices of tops and choices of bottoms, and they never had to worry about figuring out what they were going to wear, because limited choices actually is easier for children. So that, to keep that in mind. You know, the benefits of shared responsibility is actually brings the family together. It helps increase that unity. And there's a lot to be said about teaching our children how to cooperate. You know, some jobs need to have 2 people. And having to cooperate. If you've got a pet, learning to take care of somebody else or something else is important. One of the things that happened when Julie and I were little is my mom and dad went and did a seminar, and they came out and they said, okay, now you're in charge of everybody that's younger than you to make sure they're happy. And we were on a trip in an 11-foot camper for 1 month, and we went back from Oregon all the way back to Omaha, Nebraska, so my dad could take a class. And that was one of the happiest times I can remember, because we were always watching out for the younger ones. And I, being the oldest, meant I had my 3 younger sisters. I was responsible for making sure that they were happy. And you could put something like that as part of your family too. We talked briefly about family activities and incorporating those into your family schedule or your family council, and making sure that everybody has the opportunity to voice an opinion. Talk about your vacations, planning what you're going to do on your vacations. You know, projects. Do you have projects that you want to do around the house and you want everybody to be involved in them? Maybe it's a landscape project. Now, Julie can attest that mom and dad never invited us to when dad decided to get a truckload of bark dumped. It was just expected that we would, the 4 of us girls, would get it spread out.
Yep.
Thinking how much more enjoyable it might have been if we would have known, okay, during this time, you're going to have a different schedule because you're in charge of the bark, or you're in charge of the couple cords of wood that got dropped here, and you got to go get them stacked. Try and make games out of a lot of the activities. You know, it makes work a whole lot easier, a lot funner. One of the times that we had family council with my kids, we lived on a farm, and it had a huge area. It's probably a good 20 feet by maybe 75 feet, where we had this obnoxious weed called goat heads. And I don't know if you know what they are, but they are obnoxious. and they would get in on your shoes and come in the house, and you'd step on them and they hurt. And they kind of stung wherever it pierced the skin. But our goal as a family was to get rid of those. So what we decided was in the summer, we would take an hour every morning and the whole family would work. And we would, the little kids would hold the bags while the bigger kids would pull the weeds and put them in there. And then we would do something fun. We would either go swimming or go get ice cream, or I'd have popsicles. We would do something fun. So there was something to look forward to. Have you guys ever used that in your families?
It almost sounds like bribery to me. No. But I do notice when I like say these are our have to do's, our chores, we call them chores, but we have to get these done before we can go do something fun. But I want to go do something fun, so once you help me around the house, then we can get out there faster and spend more time doing the fun activity.
Yeah, well, don't think of it as bribery, think of it as incentive. Because our kids need to be incentivized. And I don't believe in doing it with money, but I do believe in, either doing free play or, something like the popsicles or swimming, or we'll go on a walk, or we'll go to the park. Those kind of things help them see that there is a reason that they want to do this, and it will make it easier for them. And as they get older, you get those little incentives get smaller and smaller. But I will tell you, incentives even work with my married kids now. And sometimes it's really worth it to see them do that. So just think of it in a different light, maybe. And with the family time, there really is significance in quality time versus quantity time. You don't have to spend a lot of time to make a huge difference. I learned about free play with children, and it's a pretty cool concept in that you set a timer and you're playing with just one child. And as you're doing that, you let them decide what it is that they're doing and what the story. Say you're playing dolls. They get to decide everything. You do not get to say anything other than, okay, we're doing this for 15 minutes or we're doing this for 20 minutes, and you set a timer. And when the timer goes off, then you say, okay, thank you. That was a lot of fun. I appreciated our time together. And I don't know what just happened to my screen. Let's see if I can go back. There is something about being able to trust you to do what you said, and to know that even if it's 15 minutes that you're going to play blocks with them or dolls or play house, whatever it is, that you let them do what it is that they want to do, it will create an amazing bond that it will just surprise you over time what that small amount of time does. And you don't have to do it every day. You can do it once a week. But quality time with individual kids, some people do it as a date night or as a date time. Others do it as a playtime. It's important that you schedule quality time and not the quantity necessarily. You want to create bonding and memories in all that you do. That's what happens when kids do activities together, when they're doing soccer together or they're going to support somebody. And really, when they get older, if you want your family to be close, create the memories. It is awesome. And I appreciate it, that the opportunity to be, those memories are the glue that hold your family together. And
So I have a question about this.
sure,
So we do the 15 minutes, or we used to do it more regularly. And speaking of that, like my biggest challenge is like putting down my phone and not looking at it when it goes off in that 15-minute time frame. But I like that you've talked about time budgeting, because you know that makes it feel more doable to say, I'm taking this 15 minutes to do this with you and create that bonding time. And my only thing is like my kids, I don't know, is it weird to think like they want to spend 15 minutes of time, of my time, doing whatever they want to do, but would it be weird to, or I don't know, to ask them for 15 minutes of their time to do what I want to do? Because I feel like my life has turned into all about them, and I can't get any of my stuff done because I'm doing all of their stuff that they want to do.
So that's something that comes up with lots of moms, and that's where time budgeting will help. I found that I needed to get up earlier in the morning. Even if I only got up 30 minutes earlier in the morning, that was my time. And I could do whatever I wanted to do in that time. I know some moms that get up as early as 4 in the morning because they want more time. And I'm like, I'm not sure I'm that committed. Although I have been known to do it, it's what you want to get done. But the easiest time for a mom is before everybody gets up or after everybody goes to bed. The problem with doing it at night, after everybody goes to bed, is that you're tired. So you don't get as much done as if you could get earlier. The other thing is that changing bedtimes. There is nothing wrong with little kids having a 7 o'clock bedtime. And I know some parents that have their kids up till 8:30, 9 o'clock. Kids need sleep. They need more sleep than adults do. So let them have that opportunity. And if they aren't going to go to sleep, make it quiet time. And this is quiet time. You're in your room, you're in your bed. If you want to read a book, that's fine. But this is my time to get done things like that. And then they learn prioritizing time. They learn to respect what you're doing. There are some things that you're going to do that they're naturally going to do with you. But I wouldn't never really phrase it as, okay, now this is mommy's time and you're going to do what I want you to do. Or you're going to do it with me. Because they're going to go, yeah, no, I don't think so. And you'll have more resistance to doing it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I think, but the idea that's been playing around in my head is like we get to know them on their level during their 15 minutes, but when do they get to know us, you know? When, like, how do you invite them into your world and show them things that you like to do and introduce new ideas, new ways to play, new interests, like some of your interests. And so kind of like the buddy system where you have an activity that you do together but it's not something they choose. It's something you choose that you think they might like. I don't know.
Well, as mom, you get to choose a lot of the family activities. And
Yeah.
you can choose to do it as a family. And you can choose to take them out and say, hey, I want to teach you about something I really like. I really enjoy. I think you might be interested in it too. That's different than saying, hey, you've had your 15 minutes. Now I want my 15 minutes.
Right. Yeah.
So it's all in how you phrase it and frame it.
Okay.
So if you frame it in the, you've had your 15 minutes, I want my 15 minutes. And then they're gonna like, yeah, no, mom, sorry,
Yeah.
you're old and I don't want anything to do with that.
Right.
But it's just like we always had adult treats. And they were things that we enjoyed, but kids probably wouldn't. It was amazing to me how many, by the time they were 8 or 9 years old, all of a sudden they have developed this taste for adult treats. And it wasn't always sweets or a dessert or something. It could be, shrimp.
Nice.
Well, that's an adult treat. And just because it was an adult treat, then they're like, oh, I want that.
Mm-hmm.
So, frame it like that. I appreciate your time, and I know we moved, since we had technical difficulties, we moved 15 minutes off, but I've gone over too, and I just appreciate your time here. If there's anybody that has any questions, I'd be glad to stay on. I do want to, because as a special bonus for coming tonight, I want to offer you guys a free 30-minute coaching session. And with the link there, let me see if I can just copy it and put it in the chat. It should be that easy, but it's not. I'll just type it. But this will put you into my calendar, and I would be more than glad to spend that time with you, and we can go over things that you want to specifically. Does there anybody have any comments or questions?
I've been reading a book that's kind of a lot of what we've gone over tonight. It's called Hunt, Gather, Parent. And it talks about different cultures raising their kids. So it's interesting how it's been corresponding, like acknowledging how much a child puts into like their chore effort, like age appropriate chores, like this is all they can do and they've done, and not going back over and redoing it. They talked about that. But there were other things too, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so timely right now. So
Well,
if anyone's interested.
well,
So Debbie, I have a question for you. Like, what
sure.
services as a coach do you offer? Like, what does it look like to work with you, and what other classes do you teach? Do you do group mentoring? Do you do individual mentoring?
Right.
If you could just take a few minutes and tell us what your portfolio looks like, that would be awesome.
Sure. Right now I have just one-on-one coaching. I do want to start a group coaching program probably in the next 2 months that I'll do that. I teach these free workshops every 2 weeks. And the next one is empowering mompreneurs with financial literacy. And the next one is about millionaire mindset. And so I got to figure out how to put my calendar up on either the group or in somehow get a calendar up there that you guys can see ahead, because I have all my subjects for the next 20, well, the next year, so 26 different webinar or workshops. So when I do have a set program, but I am also intuitive in how we work it. I work to with both the family home and business. If you have a business, so do you have a business, Amanda? Oh, did I lose you?
No, you're just on mute and I'm unpacking our car from a vacation.
Oh,
So it took me a second
okay,
to get
sorry.
to fishy back out of my pocket and unmute myself.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually am a life coach myself. I'm a presenter and trainer.
So I do a pretty balanced program. I have a 24-week program, and I have, you know, subjects for every week. We adjust them according to who my clients' needs are. When I do a group coaching program, we will follow that program. And that will not have the adjustability that a one-on-one coaching program has. Does that answer your questions?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Well, I'd love to offer you that 30 minutes, and you can see some of the things that we talk about, and work on whatever it is that you are struggling with in that 30 minutes. So does anybody else have any other questions? Then I think we'll end this, and I look forward to talking to you guys soon. You take care.
Thanks,
Thank
Debbie.
you.
All right, bye-bye.